Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. The Curse of Oak Island. Team discovers clues that a Viking ship may be the ship buried in the swamp. The Curse of Oak Island team has found evidence that the ship thought to be buried in the swamp is a Viking ship, and that the Vikings helped the Templar Knights bring treasure to the island. Time is running out for this season of Oak Island, and there's already an end-of-semester feel about the last couple of episodes. However, Rick Lagina and the guys have gathered some great data on their field trip to Europe. The guys have been attempting to retrace the path Templar Knights may have taken through Europe on their way to Oak Island. They have visited Italy, the Netherlands, Denmark, and finally Iceland. Last night, the team visited a Viking ship museum in Iceland and had the opportunity to stand on a recreated Viking ship. The ship's builder informed the guys that this type of vessel was first built in the 11th century, but would still be used in the 13th century, which is the time period the Templars would have built the money pit. Interestingly, this ship was a cargo vessel and could have transported up to about 20 tons. Corjan Mole asked the million-dollar question, to which the shipbuilder assured him that this vessel could have sailed to Canada. He also pointed out that the Vikings had been using sail ships to travel longer and longer distances since the 8th century. Oak Island swamp artifact matched the Viking ship. Doug Crowell then noticed a piece of wood attached to the ship's side near the bow. This plank looked almost exactly like the so-called ship's railing the guys found in the swamp in 2020. At the time, that piece was carbon dated to the 8th century. The guys have long suspected a ship lies buried in the swamp. They have often speculated that it could be a Spanish galleon, but perhaps Doug has now spotted evidence that it is a Viking ship. The team also examined an Old Norse manuscript from the medieval ages that featured symbols found in Nova Scotia and Templar strongholds across Europe, such as the four-dotted cross. These symbols also match those found on an artifact discovered last year on Lot 8, which an expert had previously suggested could be Viking in origin. This all adds to the mounting evidence that Vikings visited Oak Island. Finally, in Iceland, the guys were shown a human-made cave from the 9th century that featured a cross carved into the wall. This cross was the exact configuration of the lead cross found by Gary Drayton, which dates to between 1200 and 1600 and is thought to be of Templar origin. The Oak Island team slowly and surely believes that Templars and Vikings were both on Oak Island in the 12th century and were likely burying treasure there. Oak Island team suspects whoever built Lot 5 structure also created the money pit. Meanwhile, back on Oak Island, archaeometallurgist Emma Culligan examined clay samples taken from the money pit area and the two sites on Lot 5. Emma found that samples from Lot 5 matched those taken from deep within the money pit. The Lot 5 structure was filled in and covered up before the money pit was first discovered in 1795. This means whoever was at Lot 5 was most likely deeply involved in constructing the money pit. The sun had just begun its ascent over Oak Island, casting a golden hue over the mist that clung stubbornly to the island's infamous swamp. The team, a tight-knit group of historians, archaeologists, and treasure hunters, stood at the edge of the water, their breaths visible in the chilly morning air. The past few months had been a roller coaster of discoveries and dead ends, but today felt different. Today they had a lead that promised to unravel one of the island's oldest mysteries. Rick and Marty Lagina, the brothers spearheading the expedition, exchanged hopeful glances. They had been chasing the legend of Oak Island for years, enduring skepticism and setbacks. Their determination remained unshaken. The latest clue, a fragment of weathered wood dredged from the swamp's murky depths, had sparked new theories among the team. The wood bore intricate carvings that seemed oddly familiar. This carving, Marty said, holding the fragment up for everyone to see, matches the designs found on Viking ships. It's possible we're looking at a piece of the ship buried right here in the swamp. Alex Lagina, Rick's son, examined the fragment more closely. Viking, he echoed, his voice tinged with excitement. If that's true, it could rewrite everything we know about this place. Dr. Miriam Thompson, a renowned archaeologist and Viking expert, had joined the team specifically because of this possibility. She was meticulous in her work, her eyes sharp and discerning. She knelt by the swamp, her hands gently tracing the carvings on the wood. "These designs are undeniably Norse," she confirmed, "but we need more evidence before jumping to conclusions." The team spent the next few days conducting a meticulous search of the swamp. They used ground-penetrating radar, diving equipment, and even old-fashioned shovels. Each day brought small discoveries, more wooden fragments, bits of metal, and finally, a long, narrow plank that was unmistakably part of the ship's hull. The excitement was palpable. On the seventh day, their efforts were rewarded in a way none of them could have anticipated. As the sun set, casting long shadows over the swamp, their radar detected a large, irregular shape buried deep in the mud. The outline was too defined to be a natural formation. It was the hull of a ship preserved in the swamp's anaerobic environment. The team worked tirelessly to unearth the ship, their hearts racing with every shovelful of mud. When the first full section of the hull emerged, covered in centuries of grime, but still intact, they knew they were onto something extraordinary. The ship's construction, its lines and proportions, were unmistakably Viking. "We found it," Rick breathed, his voice thick with emotion. "We've found a Viking ship." Dr. Thompson was beside herself with excitement. "This is incredible. If this ship was buried here, it means the Vikings reached these shores long before anyone else believed. We could be looking at evidence of the first European explorers in North America." As they continued to excavate, they uncovered more artifacts, a Viking sword, shield fragments, and even a few personal items like combs and brooches. Each piece told a story, painting a vivid picture of the lives of the Viking crew who had once sailed these waters. But questions remained. Why was the ship here, and what had happened to its crew? The swamp, with its murky depths and shifting landscape, held its secrets tightly. The team hypothesized that the ship had been intentionally buried, perhaps to hide it from enemies or to preserve it for a future return that never came. The discovery of the Viking ship was a turning point in the history of Oak Island. It drew international attention, with historians and archaeologists flocking to the site to study the artifacts and piece together the story of the ship and its crew. The Laguna's determination had paid off, opening a new chapter in the island's enigmatic history. But even as they celebrated their discovery, the team knew that Oak Island was not done with them yet. The island had a way of revealing its secrets slowly, one tantalizing clue at a time. The Viking ship was a monumental find, but it was just one part of a much larger puzzle. Rick, Marty, and the rest of the team stood at the edge of the swamp, looking out over the water as the first stars appeared in the sky. They had uncovered a piece of history, but their journey was far from over. The curse of Oak Island was still very much alive, its mysteries calling to them from the shadows. As they packed up their equipment for the night, Rick turned to Marty. "We've come a long way," he said, his voice filled with a mix of pride and determination. "But I have a feeling the best is yet to come." Marty nodded, his eyes reflecting the same unyielding spirit. "Here's to the next adventure," he said, raising an imaginary glass. The team laughed and cheered, their camaraderie stronger than ever. Together, they would continue to delve into the secrets of Oak Island, driven by the promise of discovery and the thrill of the hunt. The Viking ship was just the beginning, a tantalizing glimpse of the hidden history waiting to be uncovered, and they were ready for whatever came next.